Hello everyone! With this video, I'll be showing you examples of why Chris Watts is a sociopath and why what he did would make sense. This piqued my interest because there was an actual real sociopath who was diagnosed with this and antisocial personality disorder, which we know Chris Watts was antisocial. Now, to back up what I'm showing you, I invite you to go over to this specific channel to watch and listen for yourself. The channel name is called Special Books by Special Kids, and I will link this down in the description below. And it states on there, people with this condition are often referred to by the media as a sociopath or psychopath. And the person doing the interview wants others to know that it is possible for a person with this disorder to become a better adjusted to the world with help of intensive therapy. So I wrote down each and every one of his symptoms, and I'm showcasing to you the exact matching clues and evidence surrounding Chris Watts, even starting from the very beginning of him and Shanann's relationship. Things that he said after his failed polygraph, the misery that he put Shanann through and shows as evidence in her text messages, why he became so detached from his wife and so attached to his mistress, Nicole Kessinger, why he is incapable of feeling love, even for his own children. So let's get started. So first off, they sense weakness in people and they prey upon those people.
And long story short, I was diagnosed with health challenges in 2010, so about 6.5 years ago. And it was it put me in a really, really bad place at the time. And at that time, I was in a bad place. And so at that same time, I was in this bad place. I met my Chris. I met my husband now. And he's been the best thing, besides my children, that has ever happened to me. Because he's understood my struggles. He was okay with me canceling dates or canceling reservations or canceling last minute because 10 minutes ago I felt amazing. And then 10 minutes later I didn't. I believe things happen for a reason. I believe the struggle I had that year helped me see my husband. I believe God works in mysterious ways. I believe he places people in your life at the right time. 6 months to meeting Chris, I ignored his friend request. My friend sent us both a friend suggestion for each other, and I deleted it. Didn't need anything about him. I didn't want him. And then fast forward 6 months, I was diagnosed with my health challenges and was in a pretty rough place. And he sent me a friend request. And I said, what the heck? We're never going to meet. It's just Facebook, right? The thing about Facebook is you eventually probably meet the person, which is great. And we met and we fell in love. And long story short, we're here. I couldn't have asked God for a better man in my life because he's so supportive. He takes care of me. He's becoming funnier in his old age, I tell him. He's sexy, he's good looking, and he does take care of our girls. Like, he's probably the best father I could have asked for my children. And I couldn't have asked for a better man. But he completes me. I know that's cliche, but it's the truth. He completes me.
And of course, from the outside looking in, they watch and observe.
My health challenges, bad relationships, things that could have knocked somebody down completely hardcore. But the thing is I believe that everything in life happens for a reason, and I also believe people are placed in our life for a reason. And I remember when I went through something major in my life, good relationship, gone bad, and I remember coming out feeling the weakest I've ever felt in my life. Like I was no good, I wasn't good enough. My insecurities got deeper, stronger, and I felt like I was not worthy of anything. At Chris, my health challenges happened. I was diagnosed with some health challenges, and then I met Chris. I met Chris because of those health challenges. My friend sent me a friend suggestion for him. It was actually his cousin's wife, and I deleted it. I was like, I'm not interested. I don't want to meet a guy. Bye-bye. So I deleted her friend suggestion for him. I was diagnosed 2 months later, and I went through one of the, I would say, darkest times of my life because things just got scarier. I got a friend request from Chris. I was in a really, really, really bad place, and I got a friend request from Chris on Facebook, and I was like, oh, what the heck, I'm never gonna meet him. Except, one thing led to another, and 8 years later, we have 2 kids, we live in Colorado, and he's the best thing that has ever happened to me. And because of my health challenges, because I got so sick, I let him in. And he only knew me at that time. He knew me at my worst, and he accepted me. And, through your vows, like through sickness and everything, he's been there. He was the one that let me lay on him and fall asleep for 3.5 hours on his lap while he had to pee. He is the best thing that has ever happened to me. So
that man stated in his interview, everyone else was different. Sad or excited, there's no emotion, either good or bad.
That makes total sense now.
I knew it was like, just because I was like in shock or just like disbelief, or just like some people said I looked like I was a heartless, no soul person, soulless person. When they did like the TV interviews or something, I was like, I'm just glad I never saw it. I don't even want to know what I looked like, what I sounded like.
But you were obviously feeling it then, you just weren't.
Yeah, just like nothing registered at all. Everything was like just harbored deep down, and then like I think it was just one night when I was in my cell, it just all hit me all at one point. Not the fact that I was in jail, but the fact that like everybody was gone.
Yeah.
And none of it. I think if it was like like if something happens to your family, like in like an accident, like a car accident, or like something like horrible like that, it registers at one point. But if like you did it, I don't know if like it just doesn't register at one point. It's like in my head, it never registered.
Does it seem real now?
Oh, it feels real, like every day. Like I see pictures, I just know like, where they were at when they were doing that. When I first had like some type of hearing over the phone, and I heard like Frank and Sandy and Frankie, and they were on the phone, and I forgot what kind of hearing it was. Something about like a probate hearing or something. I knew exactly where they were in the back. I heard the birds chirp. I knew they were on the back deck, and I just like walked back to my cell, just balled my eyes up, because I knew exactly where they were. I knew how many times the girls were back there, and it's just weird how emotions process differently for me than everybody else. Like something like you said, if you lost your kids in the grocery store for 5 seconds, you'd be a mess. And then for me, it'd be like, I'd be panicked, but I probably wouldn't cry. I'd be like looking around trying to find them, but it's just like, this process is different for me. I never knew why. Never know why. I don't want to think I'm like a cold-hearted person. It's just a matter of just don't show it. Show the emotion as much as other people do. Even when the girls left North Carolina, her Chan's brother, mom and dad were all crying when they left. It's just kind of like, I never really saw my parents get like that when they left. I don't know if it's like you're born that way.
Like your family doesn't show emotion like that? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like, my dad couldn't really speak at the sentencing hearing because he said he was kind of like, he said he was going to lose it. Like lose his emotions. Like, that really hit me. It's kind of like I never seen him, like, like that. Like
vulnerable?
Mm-hmm. Like, nobody's really ever seen me that way either. And that's why, like, maybe I just...
Was it ever like you're a sissy if you're like that, or was it just something you just never did?
I never saw my dad cry. So maybe it's just something that, was imprinted in my brain that maybe I should never cry. Maybe
Was your mom like a loving mom, like a doting mom, and, would give you affection and hugs and kisses? And
oh yeah, she'd always like ask me like, what was going on. Like, she said I was always hard to read. She never knew what was going on.
But did she still try and give you affection, even growing up?
Yeah, she always, my sister was always a parent. Like, it was always like what was going on. She was always open with me. It was always just, closed off. And she always wanted to know what was going on, like how I felt. I was just like, yeah, okay. So I'll give her. Even if something was wrong, like, I would have probably never said anything. Because, like, I just, deal with it myself. But I don't know if that just growing up that way just kept me in that way. Deal with things on your own, but then they build up so much that you can't deal with them, and they take a hold of you. You never thought, in a way, you could take hold of you.
So you think that was a result of just bottling up for so long?
Definitely. No matter what.
Yep.
I know, like, even my attorneys told me, like, you need to show a little more emotion, because I guess first time I went to the courtroom, I didn't know what to expect. I was still, like, new to everything, just in shock about what was going on, and they said I was just a cold person, just looking at it. So when I did the plea, and at the sentencing hearing, it just, all of it felt just more real than anything.
And when others are sad or excited, they become annoyed.
I just find it hard to hear you talk about just having this emotional, conversation with Shanann, and you're bawling and crying together, and you have not shed one tear in 2 days that you've been here.
No.
Not one. And help me understand that, because I don't get it. These are your baby girls. And you have not shed one tear over them not being around. Chris, I lose my 4-year-old in the store for 10 seconds and I start to go panic. I have not seen any of that from you at all. Help me understand that.
I love those girls. I would never do any of this because I haven't shed a tear. You get
no, that's weird. Is that weird?
Don't look into that like I don't love my kids.
Tell
I love
me,
my wife.
explain to me. You're crying with your wife that you're leaving her.
Yeah.
But you don't cry that your 2 little baby girls.
I'm hoping they're still around somewhere. I'm hoping they're still somewhere.
Yeah, but you
alive.
don't have them right now. You're
I
not
know.
reading stories to them at night.
I know.
You're not giving them midnight snacks. You're not giving them their medicine. You're not waking up with them in the morning.
I know this.
So that should cause you pain.
It does cause me pain.
But I don't see that. I don't see that.
They manipulate and lie on spot, just like Chris Watts did when he told his teacher him and his family went to Japan or China during a summer trip.
I've always had a really crazy imagination. So like when I was a kid, like I even convinced my teacher I went to Japan over the summer or to China or something. But she said, you should just write down your story, like how you cope with this.
Why did you convince your teacher you had gone to another country?
It was just like what you did over the summer, and I was like, oh, it's China. You start right. And she actually believed it. I was really convincing.
So you're a smart dude.
Yeah. It was, and they, parent-teacher conference said, so how was China? What? Nope.
They always need to see where their head is at, and you probably won't even know until they did something to you. In this text, Shanann said that Chris said, "I don't know where my head is at. I will fix it though." They have very strong urges, fake emotions. Manipulation will be a game that you lost.
How'd you feel? You did great. You remembered to lie and everything. That was awesome. So, you obviously are a really bad liar. Have people told you that before? Like, the second you tell a lie, like, they can tell, like, on your face that, because the second you lied to them, number 3, like, I don't know if you heard me clicking, but I had to, like, turn down the sensitivity because you were starting to go off the page. So, that is what I need to see as a polygrapher, because that tells me that you know it's wrong to tell a lie. And you're actually having a significant reaction when you lie, so that is awesome. So thank you for being a horrible liar. No, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. We don't want to be good liars, so thank you for being a horrible liar. And that just shows me that, you know, obviously on the test when they're asking, you know, significant stuff about your wife, if you're lying to that, it's going to be even 10 times more amplified. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much, more than you know. So.
If they hurt someone, there is a low frequency of emotions. It serves them and fulfills their sensations. Shanann was extremely distraught over the way Chris was treating her. Says that she can't stop crying and sends her friend a picture of her looking completely exhausted. The only way to get a diagnosis is if someone is forced to get help or do something illegal.
I mean, I hope that, you know, if you did have something to do with their disappearance, it would be really stupid for you to come in and take a polygraph today.
Exactly.
Right? Like, it would be really dumb. Like, you should not be here right now sitting in this chair if you had anything to do with Shanann and the little girl's disappearance. Okay? Okay. And it's Celeste and Bella, is that right?
Yeah.
When they try to be normal, it makes things worse for them. Hence, bottling up emotions, just like Chris Watts did.
Yeah, that definitely got my head when you did that.
When we have the picture out there for you? See, that to us it didn't feel like that because
I didn't show
any emotion.
I don't show emotion that much. It's like my dad. It's like we don't show emotion. Like,
were you fighting it down, or were you just not a guy to show it?
Like most of the time, I'm not a guy to show it. Like I hold it in as much as I can, and like, you know, in my cell, I cry a lot, you know, obviously, but like I'm not really a guy to show it.
Okay.
I don't know. I try to hold it as much as I can.
Yeah, you were a difficult guy to read, especially at the house that day. That makes total sense now.
I knew it was like, because I was like in shock or just like disbelief, or just like some people said I looked like I was a heartless, no soul person, soulless person when they did like the TV interviews or something. I'm just like, I'm just glad I never saw it.
They act fake to make others feel more comfortable.
We did it again. I like that shirt. Really?
Really?
That's awesome.
So pink means...
That's just the test.
I know. It just says the pink is going to be girls.
I don't know. Just the test.
That's awesome. Guess when you want to, it happens.
They do not feel empathy like the average person. If someone dies, it doesn't make them sad. Funerals, for an example, where others are sad, they have to actually find words to comfort people. And the guy giving the interview, even when his own grandpa died, he didn't understand everyone else's tears.
I just find it hard to hear you talk about just having this emotional, conversation with Shanann, and you're bawling and crying together, and you have not shed one tear in 2 days that you've been here. Not one. And help me understand that, because I don't get it. These are your baby girls, and you have not shed one tear over them not being around. Chris, I lose my 4-year-old in the store for 10 seconds, and I start to go panic. I have not seen any of that from you at all. Help me understand that.
I love those girls. I would never do any of this because I haven't shed a tear. You get
no, that's weird. Is that weird?
Don't look into that like I don't love my kids.
Tell
I love
me,
my wife.
explain to me. You're crying with your wife that you're leaving her.
Yeah.
But you don't cry that your 2 little baby girls.
I'm hoping they're still around somewhere. I'm hoping they're still somewhere.
Yeah, but you
alive.
don't have them right now. You're
I
not
know.
reading stories to them at night.
I know.
You're not giving them midnight snacks. You're not giving them their medicine. You're not waking up with them in the morning.
I know this.
So that should cause you pain.
It does cause me pain.
But I don't see that. I don't see that.
They have to pretend to be happy all the time.
We have my Chris. A long time, I'm getting old. So we decided we're gonna say hi, guys.
Some sociopaths don't even want romantic relationships because they don't understand them.
Shanann, Bella, Celeste, if you're out there, just come back. Like, if somebody has her, just please bring her back. I need to see everybody. I need to see everybody again. This house is not complete without anybody here. Please bring her back.
To them, it's a sense of duty and commitment. They have to wear a mask to make others happy, and they can't hold that up forever.
Hey Chris, what are you excited about?
I'm just excited about being here for the first time and seeing what the future holds. It's going to be an exciting night.
Hey Chris, what are you excited about? I'm just excited about being here for the first time and seeing what the future holds. It's going to be an exciting night.
But they do want to connect with someone that they have interest in romantically. If they don't like the other person, there is no emotional attachment.
There you go, baby. You're so damn sexy. You're so damn sexy. You're so damn sexy.
Thank you so much for coming out here with me, Christopher. I am having a wonderful time. You mean a lot to me, and I'm glad that you're having a blast. I am so out of breath.
They have to remind themselves to tell family they love them, and it could be off-putting if they're not exaggerating. They do have traits that benefits others, and they will do things to keep others around. And that is more beneficial to them than not having them at all. He said it's like a math equation. It's a transactional thing.
Guess when you want to, it happens.
No, they're lying, okay? Because they can't answer those questions that you can answer, okay? But you weren't here today lying about something else. So we need to talk about that, okay? I cheated on her. I know. And this is very good. Keep I'm not proud of it. I didn't think anything like that could happen. I didn't think I'd ever do it, but I did. I know. Keep going. She accused me of it. I denied it. I cheated on her, and I feel horrible for it. Like, she was pregnant, and it was, I don't want to, I didn't hurt her. I cheated on her. I hurt her emotionally. I cheated on her. And I feel absolutely horrible about this, but that's what I've been holding.
They do have to be careful, although it does not always end in violence or hurting others. If they don't have insight on how their actions affect others, they can manipulate others.
Shannon, Bella, and Nico love and caring people. They love life. They love being around people who love them. They always had good times. This is the first time they went to the beach this year, and they loved it. But God only knows what happened that night. Life will never be the same without Shannon, Bella, and Celeste and Nico. Had all their lives to live. They were taken by a heartless one. This is the heartless one, the evil monster, who dare you take the lives of my daughter Shannon, Bella, Celeste, and Nico. I trusted you to take care of them, not kill them. And they also trusted you. The heartless monster, and then you take them out like trash. You disgust me. They were loving and caring people. You may have taken their bodies from me, but you will never take the love they had for me. They loved us more than you will ever know, because you don't know what love is. Because if you did, you would not have killed them. You monster, thought you would get away with this. I don't know how. The cameras do not lie. You carry them out like trash of the house. Yes, I seen the videotape. You buried my daughter Shannon and Nico in a shallow grave, and then you put Bella and Celeste in huge containers of crude oil. You heartless monster. You have to live with this vision every day of your life, and I hope you see that every time you close your eyes at night. Oh, I forgot. You have no heart or feelings or love. Let me tell you something. I will think of them every day of my life, and I love them every day of my life. Prison is too good for you. This is hard to say, but may God have mercy on your soul. I hope you enjoy your new life. It's nothing like the one you had out here. May the courts have no mercy on you. It's hard every day. It hurts in so many ways. I have heard people say that you're not a monster. No, you are not. You're an evil monster. Thank you. Love you, Shannon, Bella, and Nico. Love you, Pop Up and Dad. And one other thing. And Shannon says she is super excited for justice today. Thank you.
And if others don't accept who they are, if the mask stays on, things will become more negative. Shanann says here, Chris doesn't want this baby. He said he's scared to death and he's happy with just Bella and Celeste. He thought he wanted another baby. And she asked him if he wanted her to abort the baby.
Good morning, Your Honor. Thank you for this moment.
I can just have you just identify yourself for the record.
My name is Sandra Rusak, Shannon's mother.
Thank you.
I wanted to say thank you for this moment. I want to take a moment to thank everyone who has prayed for our beloved family, who has sent gifts, cards to us from all over the world. I know God will put the evil people where they need to be. I also want to take the time to thank the town of Frederick, Greeley, FBI, the DA's office, the CBI, for exceptional work. We thank Nicole Atkinson, Shannon's neighbor Nathan, and his family. To me, they're our heroes. They really are. God bless. God makes no mistakes on who he puts in your life. Marriage is about love, trust, and friendship and unity. We marry for sickness and health, to death do us part. Our daughter Shannon loved you with all of her heart. Your children loved you to the moon and back. Shannon's family was her world. Shannon put a crown on your head. But unfortunately, the day that you took their life, God removed that crown. We loved you like a son. We trusted you. Your faithful wife trusted you. Your children adored you, and they also trusted you. Your daughter Bella Marie sang a song proudly. And I don't know if you got to see it, but it was, "Daddy, you're my hero." I have no idea who gave you the right to take their lives. But I know God and his mighty angels were there at that moment to bring them home to paradise. God gives us free will. So not only did you take the family of four, your family of four, you took your own life. I want the world to know that our daughter and her children were so loved by us. There will always be protected by God and his mighty angels. I didn't want death for you because that's not my right. Your life is between you and God now, and I pray that he has mercy for you. From Shannon's mother, Bella Marie, Celeste Catherine, and Nico Lee's Nana. Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, that's all the witnesses that I had intended on calling, and I know that the court addressed this during the procedural posture. I am aware that
when they are trying to fit in, it becomes easier to do negative things.
Sir, if I can just have you state your name for the record.
Frankie Lucek, Jr.
Thank you for being here.
Your Honor, the past 3 months I barely slept because I've been going through a lot of different emotions because I did not see this coming. You went from being my brother, my sister's protector, one of the most loved people in my family, to someone I will spend the rest of my life trying to understand. What gave you the right to put your hands on a woman, let alone my best friend, my beloved sister, your daughters, and your son? Why weren't they enough for you? In the blink of an eye, you took away my whole world, the people that mattered to me the most. Everything in my life I loved, your children. They trusted you. They loved you. They looked up to you because you promised to keep them safe. Instead, you turned on your family. My blood is boiling as I write these last words because they are the last you will ever hear from me. I can't even think of the right words to describe the betrayal and the hate I feel. And to be honest, you aren't even worth the time and effort it takes to put my pen to this paper. There isn't a day that goes by that I don't cry for my family. They were my whole world. All I do is ask myself why. Why would you do this? You don't deserve to be called a man. What kind of person slaughters the people that love them the most? Did you really think you would get away with this? Did you really think that this was your best option, to throw away your family like they were garbage? They deserve better, and you know it. I hope you spend the rest of your life staring at the ceiling every night, being haunted by what you've done. None of us deserved this. Hearing my mother and father cry themselves to sleep in this hotel room causes me anguish that is beyond words. I can't describe how this feels, how badly my heart is breaking for my poor parents. We trusted you. You have taken away my family from this earth, but you can never take them from my heart. You took away my privilege of being an uncle to the most precious little girls I've ever known. I will never hear the words Uncle Frankie again, but you will never be called Dad again either. You'll never be able to put your hands on another woman, let alone my best friend, my beloved sister, and your son. I just can't comprehend how they weren't enough for you. Shanann, Bella, and Cece loved you more than anyone. You were their hero. How could you destroy the people who loved them the most? I pray that you never have a moment's peace or a good night's rest in the cage you'll spend every day of your life in. A cage you are privileged to live in because my family isn't evil like you. We begged the district attorney to spare your life because despite everything, we believe that no one has the right to take the life of another, even someone like you. I feel sorry for your family. I know the pain that they must feel knowing that they can't hug you, because that's how my mother, father, and I feel every time we cry for our family. Nothing hurts more than watching or hearing my family weep for their loved ones. I just wish that I could tell that you would tell the truth, but I know that that is asking for more than you are capable of. I stayed up all night writing this statement. I don't sleep because of you. My life will never be the same because of you, but at least my conscience is clear. I get to live free, but I can't say the same for you. I haven't slept in 2 days because I've been anxiously waiting for this moment, the moment I get to tell you how I feel, how this has affected my family and I. My family and I can finally grieve after today. If anything, we will come out of this stronger today than we were before, and we will continue to pray for your family. Sincerely, Frankie Rusick.
Thank you, Mr. Rusick.
When they get angry, they get ridiculously angry.
And what were you so angry at Shanann about? Like, if you could pinpoint it.
Nothing that makes anybody to want to do this. I mean, you could be angry at your spouse like your whole life, but you should never have done anything like this. You should never let it get to that point. But I let it get to a point where I've never been angry before. Like, this is like the epitome of being angry.
Yeah.
The epitome of like showing a rage. The epitome of like losing your mind. I mean, even like some people in here said, dude, like, the heck happened? You must have freaking snapped. And like, I just walked away. It's like, I don't see it in my mind how it could, like, I look outside every day and like, what could we be doing right now? Right now I have a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, or like a 1-month-old son, and a beautiful wife. And just like, right now it's just me.
I think you said earlier that you were so angry at Shanann or whatever that you were gonna, anyone in your path of destruction or whatever was gonna get it, basically, is what kind of made it sound like. I'm not saying that exactly right, but why were you so angry at Shanann?
I don't know if it was just because of separating me and my family, pretty much. Because, it happened at the wedding. Like, that's the reason they didn't come to the wedding. I blew up at my family to a point where I said some horrible things to them back in 2012 that I pretty much told my family that, I don't need them anymore. Because I said, I cussed my mom out. I did all this kind of stuff. I never thought, and I don't know if it was just like Shanann coached me on to do it, or if it was just like rage that was like I'd never seen before. And then I don't know if it was just everything that happened in July, but I can't see my kids, and I'm not sure if they're ever going to go see them again. I don't know. And it was just like, I don't know if that had something to do with it, that something inside of me just triggered it, and then just like all that pent up from the wedding and everything, just like, it's like a long fuse that finally just went to its end.
What happened in 2012?
There was my mom and Shanann, just like from when I proposed to her, it was at the beach, and from then on, it was just like she always went up to Shanann and was like, I didn't need a ring like that when I was your age. I didn't need all these fancy things when I was your age. And just kind of kept boiling over, and they never agreed on anything. It was just like, we didn't really need their help to do anything. We just like, so we'll just pay for it ourselves and all that kind of stuff. And it was just back and forth, and I think maybe my mom just never thought she was good enough. She always thought she was hiding something from me. So
She always thought Shanann was hiding something? Like what?
I don't know, stuff from her past, or like,
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So there's some conflict at a barbecue when all the families got together. And first, maybe a barbecue that Shanann put together for everybody to get to meet each other. Two families, if you call that. Like when you first started dating.
So I remember we did have something like that, but I didn't remember like any kind of arguments at any place like that. I know like when I proposed to her, Shanann had her family come down to the beach too. They stayed at a separate house. But as far as like a barbecue or anything, I don't remember one that was like that.
Way before then?
Yeah. I remember the time when I asked Frank if it was okay if I had asked Shanann to marry her. I remember that little get together. I don't think.
So then what was the blow up at the wedding about?
It was just my mom and pretty much my sister just didn't like her.
Oh.
They just thought, that Shanann had taken me away from them and moved me out to Colorado.
Oh.
Because we were in Colorado when we flew back to get married.
Oh, okay.
Because we went to Colorado for Thanksgiving to visit some friends, and we decided to move out there like a couple months later.
Okay.
So that was like April. I moved out there April 2012, and we got married in November 2012 in North Carolina. So they always thought I was just that she took me away out there. And then
Is there something with invitations or something? Your sister was supposed to send invitations.
Yeah, there was. Okay, now you're bringing some memories back. There's something to do with that, and then my sister wanted, her kids. Oh, my sister wanted her kids as like the ring bearer and like something else. Ring bearer and flower girl, and then Shanann she told her no, either Shanann told her no or Jamie backed out because of something else, and then it just like all blew up.
And is that pretty close to the wedding?
Yes, yeah, within a couple weeks.
Did they go to the wedding, your family?
My grandma did.
But your parents and your sister did not go.
Ronnie wasn't there either?
No. Nobody was there. It was my grandma was there, and then like the dance when the groom dances with his mom, I was dancing with Mark's mom and my grandmother.
It's sad, isn't it? I mean, it all comes from a place of love, them loving you and not wanting to get stolen. And
It was a great day. I mean, everybody was really happy. I mean, it's always just running in the back of my head. They were never there, and every time they look at pictures, it's just like, oh, where's they're not there. Never knew if they actually were going to come anyways, but as far as sometimes they'll just all right, we're just going to go just to be there, but they never knew if that was the case.
And so then when Tammy was asking, why were you so mad at Shanann? Was part of it just this whole family strife?
That's the only thing I can think of right now, because I mean, there's no other reason really to be mad at her. We took care of each other our whole 8 years. It was just like a good relationship. I mean, it's just like, if I never met Nikki, would I ever have, thought our relationship was bad? Probably not.
Interesting.
That's one thing I always thought about, even Nikki asked me, if, I don't want you, she said, I don't want you to leave your wife just because of me. I'm just like, what do you mean? She said, well, just, if you met me, would you have known? I'm like, no. So I never thought I would have strayed away from her at all. I've never followed, tried to follow anybody,
She says here he was being impatient with the kids for no reason, and I flipped. The kids are not coming to you because you have been on edge since you got here. You're normally goofy and playful. And therapy helps them to realize these things, but he didn't want help. Shanann says, he said we're not compatible anymore. He refused to hug me. He said he thought another baby would fix his feelings. And he refused couples counseling. Everything they do is self-serving, which makes life harder. They view themselves as better than others.
I mean, right now I don't even want to just like throw anything out there. Like, I hope that she's somewhere safe right now and with the kids. But I mean, could she just taken off? I don't know. But if somebody has her and they're not safe, like, I want them back now. Like that's what's in my head. Like, if they're safe right now, they're gonna come back. But if they're not safe right now, that's the not knowing part. Like, if they're not safe, last night I had every light in the house on. I was hoping that I would just ran over by the kids running in the door and just like barrel rushing me, but it didn't happen. And it was just a traumatic night trying to be here.
Their egos become inflated and narcissistic.
You can ask some kind of tough questions about your relationship with your kids.
My kids are my life. I mean, those smiles light up my life. And there's like, I mean, last night, like during when they usually eat dinner, it was just like I missed them. Like, I mean, I missed telling them, hey, you got to eat that or you're not going to get your dessert, and just like you're not going to get your snack after. I missed that. Like, I missed them, cuddle up on their couches. They have like a Minnie Mouse couch and a Sophia couch that they cuddle up on and watch, Bubble Guppies or something. And it was just like, it was tearing me apart last night, and I needed that. I needed that last night, and for nobody to be here last night and to go into their rooms and know that I wasn't going to turn the rain machines on, and I know that I wasn't going to turn their monitor on, and know I wasn't going to kiss them to bed tonight. That's why last night was just horrible. I couldn't do it. I want everybody to just come home. Like, wherever they're at, come home. That's what I want.
They have a fear of being mediocre.
Is there any statements you would like to make on behalf of the prosecution?
Yes, please. Your Honor, there are no words to adequately describe the unimaginable tragedy that brings us before this court today. By my comments, I'm not even going to try to express the horror, the pain, or the suffering that the defendant has caused to these families, to this community, and to all who were a part of this investigation. However, I do want to spend a few minutes sharing with the court the details of the crime, as so far you've only had an opportunity to review the affidavit and a few facts here and there that have been offered to the court in the motions and pleadings that have been filed. The questions that have screamed out to anyone who will listen since August 13th of 2018 are why and how. Why did this have to happen? How could a seemingly normal husband and father annihilate his entire family? For what? These are the questions that only one individual in this courtroom or on this planet knows the answers to. I fully expect we will not receive the answers to these questions today, nor will we at any point in the future. I don't expect that he will ever tell the truth about what truly happened or why. Even if he did, there is no rational way that any human being could find those answers acceptable responses to such horrific questions. The best we can do is try to piece together some kind of understanding from the evidence that is available to us. And the evidence tells us this: the defendant coldly and deliberately ended 4 lives. Not in a fit of rage, not by way of accident, but in a calculated and sickening manner. Shanann was 34 years old. She had married the defendant in November of 2012. Over the weekend leading up to August 13th, she had been at a work conference in Phoenix, Arizona. and returned home in the early morning hours of August 13th. We know that she got home about 1:45 in the morning. The doorbell camera on their home shows her arriving back home from the airport. Shortly thereafter, at least according to the defendant, they had what he referred to as an emotional conversation about the state of their marriage and about what their lives would look like going forward. What was said during that emotional conversation, only he knows. What we do know is that shortly after that, the defendant strangled her to death with his own hands. We know that he slowly took her life the morning of August 13th. We know that this was not done in an uncontrolled, vengeful manner that he tried to describe to agents from CBI and the FBI. If that were the case, you would expect to see vicious, horrible bruising about her neck, shoulders, and face. You would expect to see the hyoid bone in her neck broken. You would expect to see some kind of defensive wounds on his body as she struggled and fought for her own life. None of those are present. The only injuries that were on Shanann's body were one set of finger or bruising, what appeared to be fingernail or finger mark bruising to the right side of her neck. We know that our experts will tell us that it takes 2 to 4 minutes to strangle someone to death manually with their own hands. The horror that she felt as the man that she loved wrapped his hands around her throat and choked the life out of her must have been unimaginable. Even worse, what must Bella, age 4, and Celeste, age 3, must have experienced or thought as their father, the one man on this planet who was supposed to nurture and protect them, was snuffing out their lives. They both died from smothering. Let me say that again. The man seated to my right smothered his daughters. Why? Imagine the horror in Bella's mind as her father took her last breaths away. Your Honor, understand very clearly, Bella fought back for her life. The frenulum, the connective tissue between her upper lip and her gum, had a centimeter and a half laceration. She bit her tongue multiple times before she died. She fought back for her life as her father smothered her. Celeste had no such injuries. In fact, she had no external injuries at all. But according to the medical examiner, she was smothered nonetheless. The defendant then methodically and calmly loaded their bodies into his work truck, not in a hasty or disorganized way. He was seen from the neighbor's doorbell camera backing his truck into the driveway, going back and forth into the house and back out to the truck 3 different times, 1 time for each of their bodies. He then drove them away from their family home 1 final time, intent on hiding any evidence of the crimes that he had just committed. In 1 final sign of callousness for his wife, his daughters, and their unborn son, and their remains, he drove them to a location that he thought no one would ever find them, to one of the oil tank batteries with which he was so familiar. He knew this was safe. He had texted a coworker the night before saying, "I'll head out to that site. I'll take care of it." He had carefully ensured that he would be alone in the middle of the plains to secrete away the remains of his family in a place that he hoped they would never be found. In 1 final measure of disrespect for the family he once had, he ensured that they would not be together, even in death, or so he thought. He disposed of them in different locations. He buried Shanann and Nico in a shallow grave away from the oil tanks. Bella and Celeste were thrown away in the oil tanks at this facility. Different tanks, so these little girls wouldn't be together in death. Imagine this, Your Honor. This defendant took those little girls and put them through a hatch at the top of an oil tank, 8 inches in diameter. Bella had scratches on her left buttocks from being shoved through this hole. A tuft of blonde hair was found on the edge of one of these hatches. The defendant told investigators that Bella's tank seemed emptier than CC's because of the sound that the splashes made. These were his daughters. Significantly, when his co-workers arrived at the tank battery later that morning, to a person, they all described him as acting completely normally. It was a normal workday, even while his daughter sank in the oil and water not far away from him. And then his efforts at deception truly began. We've all seen the emotionless interviews that the defendant gives to the local media, asking for help in locating his family. We watched as he claimed that the house was empty without them, and that he hoped that they were somewhere safe, and that he just wanted them to come home. He told investigators that they were at home sleeping when he left for work that morning, and that Shanann had told him that she was taking the girls to a friend's house for the day. What is striking about this case, Your Honor, beyond the horrors that I've already described to you, is the number of collateral victims that he created by his actions. While he stood in front of TV cameras asking for the safe return of his family, scores of law enforcement officers, neighbors, friends, and family scoured the area, fretted for their safe return. They texted him begging for any information and sending him their best wishes, all the while he hid what he had done. The list of indirect victims does not end there. Think of the firefighters and the Colorado State Patrol hazmat experts who had to don protective suits and who were called upon to pull Bella and Celeste out of those oil tanks. Or the coroner employees who had to conduct these autopsies. Or the victim assistants who frantically attempted to ease the suffering of those affected. All of this, Your Honor, for what? Why? Why did this have to happen? His motive was simple, Your Honor. He had a desire for a fresh start, to begin a relationship with a new love that overpowered all decency and feelings for his wife, his daughters, and unborn son. While Shanann texted the defendant over and over again in the days and weeks leading up to her death, attempting to save her marriage, the defendant secreted pictures of his girlfriend into his phone and texted her at all hours of the night. While Shanann sent the defendant self-help and relationship counseling books, one of which, ironically enough, was thrown in the garbage, he was searching the internet for secluded vacation spots to take his new love in researching jewelry. And while Shanann took the girls to visit family in North Carolina, the defendant went to car museums and the sand dunes with his new girlfriend. The stark contrast between the subjects of their internet and text content is absolutely stunning. Even the morning after he killed them and disposed of their bodies, he made several phone calls. One was to the school where the girls were supposed to start, telling the school that the girls would not be coming to school anymore, that they were being unenrolled, presumably to give him some more time before law enforcement notification about them going missing. He contacted a realtor to start discussing the selling of his house, and he texted with his girlfriend about their future. None of this answers the questions of why, however. If he was this happy and wanted a new start, get a divorce. You don't annihilate your family and throw them away like garbage. Why did Nico, Celeste, Bella, and Shanann have to lose their lives in order for him to get what he wanted? Your Honor, justice demands the maximum sentence under the agreement reached by the parties. As you will recall, the agreement calls for life sentences as to Shanann, Bella, and Celeste, and all of those to run consecutively to one another. It also calls for the count of unlawful termination of a pregnancy as to Nico to run consecutively to counts 1, 2, and 3. I would suggest that the extreme aggravation present in the defendant's conduct and in the efforts that I have described mandate that the sentences for counts 7, 8, and 9, the tampering with a deceased human body, each be the maximum of 12 years, and that those sentences run consecutively to one another. It is very clear that each of these acts, that these were not the subject of one act, but each oil tank, that he walked up with his daughter's bodies and the hole that he dug for his wife and unborn son mandate a mandatory consecutive sentence. It's been alluded to this morning, but the defendant was certainly eligible for the death penalty in this case under the existing law in the state of Colorado. As you heard, Shanann's family strongly opposed my office seeking the death penalty and being bound to the criminal justice system for the next several decades. That's in large part, as you've heard, why we have reached the agreement that we have. 4 lives were lost at the hands of the defendant on August 13th for reasons that we will never fully understand, nor will we know. In the end, the Rusick family was much more merciful towards him than he was towards his wife, his daughters, and his unborn son. Prison for the remainder of his life is exactly where he belongs for murdering his entire family. Thank you.
They get bonus points for manipulating someone who wants to help the world.
She wanted to soar the earth, and she always said, Mom, I want to leave my mark on the earth, and she did.
They work more logical, not emotional.
I don't even want to say it like I had to. I just felt like there was already something in my mind that was implanted that I was going to do it, and I woke up that morning and it was going to happen, and I had no control of it.
If they don't know how to handle themselves, they can be confused, engage in illegal activities, and if they don't get caught, that can be quite a rush for them.
Maybe like a trigger point or something, like you hit the push button on a bomb and it just blows up. Right. Just something in my head was just like something was irking. Just like I had to say something.
Okay. So then exactly what did...
Lying and manipulating can give them a sense of power that they can control people's feelings. Now here he's lying and manipulating her, and she says that he said that nothing is wrong, and she took a night shower, meaning that she wants sex, and he knows this, but he's overdoing a push-up challenge instead of having sex with her. And she's mad that he would rather work out than be with her. So his activity and lack of communication is confusing her. And she says, he's never been like this. 5.5 weeks with no sex unless he's getting it somewhere else. Which he was.
But I can't walk out of here wondering. So, can we leave her out of it? Okay. Get back to your wife and your daughters.
Okay.
Where are they?
That I do not know. That was what I was holding back. Like, I didn't know, like, what I did. I know.
Chris, in the interview today, you weren't asked about infidelity. You were asked about...
I was holding back from last night.
That's not what you feel today.
That's not how that works.
They can be violent if they feel crossed. They will shut down after an argument. There will be yelling, hitting, ignoring, and they don't tolerate disrespect in any form, disregard, but they are a hypocrite in a sense of behaving the same way by manipulation. Now he's completely ignoring her. She says there's no excuse to shut me and the kids out. She begged him to talk to her and says she can't live like this. And here she says another night in silence. She says, I asked again, but he ignored me and said no. He hasn't talked to me, only responded to my questions today. He claims there's nothing wrong with us, but this has nothing to do with us. But he's never ever shut me out like this, ever. She says he's been outside for 30 minutes instead of coming to bed and talk to me, and says that he's on the phone and she doesn't know who it is and that it's not her, it's obviously the mistress. She said she's been alone in bed for 2 hours. She's confused, and unless there's another girl, that's definitely a goodbye. Rare cases can lead to murder. All mental health issues exist on a spectrum. Sociopaths are high functioning.
Okay. So as the night goes forward, we're out on the scene. trying to recover your loved ones. So tell me again a little about that hatch. We have some guys out there who think that that hatch is just too small. You think it's about what size? Let's compare it to this plate.
That's about twice the size of that.
Twice the size of this plate?
Yeah.
Okay. Now it sounds crass, but did you have to kind of squeeze them in to get them down there?
I mean, wasn't right. I mean,
Okay.
I don't want to like describe it, but I mean,
Yeah. Feet first or head first?
Feet.
Okay. And then, were their arms like this, or were their arms like this? Because you're holding your arms? Okay. All right. So, I know we've asked you 1,000 times, and you're probably getting sick of it, but we're very, very concerned about how to get those kids out. You can imagine we can't really cut a hole in that tank because the sparks will blow something.
Yeah.
So, I just want to make very sure that you're 100% sure that they're in there.
Yes.
Okay. One in one, one in the other.
Yes.
Now that doesn't make sense to me. Why would you?
I wasn't making it at this point in time. I was scared out of my mind. I didn't know what to do.
Okay. So you carried one up, put her in. Did you shut it?
It just latches.
Okay. Oh, just a latch.
Yeah.
And then went back down, got the other one, went up the different tower. Is that how it works?
Same staircase.
Oh, it's the same to get up to both?
Yeah.
Okay. And but they're two different tanks?
Yes.
Okay.
So right beside each other.
Okay. All right. And you didn't have to, I know it's gross, but you didn't have to.
No.
Nothing like that. Okay. All right. The one thing I really want to make sure is that you're doing so good right now and tonight. I would hate for, as we're trying to go out and get them, another accident happens and that comes back to you because we're out there because of this.
Accident.
You know what I mean? Like, if they're out there and they're trying to get these bodies, if they're not even in there and we're wasting our time.
Oh, no.
Okay, they're in there.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I just don't want somebody to have a spark that blows something up, and I don't want that to come back to you. So please don't waste our time. They are out there. Okay. All right.
Guys want me to stay in here?
Yes, please.
And because they are more logical and not emotional, they can be very good at their jobs, for example, of doctors, CEOs, and lawyers. And obviously, in Chris Watts' case, he is very good at faking being a loving father.
It's not gonna work, baby.
Too late.
Oh, yeah?
Cece, get on Daddy.
You just do supervising? You good?
Alright.
Cool.
No purse, Cece.
No
Hold on
purse.
to Daddy.
Oh, don't do
This
it.
is what the drive
Okay.
you over, Cece. Sorry, guys, for the loud screaming. Your mom's on, Christina. Hi, Mama.
There you go.
Hey, you want to say hi, Nana, Papa, and Mimi and Papa. Okay, Daddy's not going to do this if you keep falling off. Papa! Wait, look in the camera. Alright, we're watching a video. You silly goose. You guys?
Was that
See?
easy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Guys, if you
No, I-
fall off, we're not going to do it anymore, okay?
There, you good?
Yes, I wish there was a way to mute this for these poor people watching.
I need earplugs.
Not in his earplugs.
I need earplugs. Can I have some earplugs? Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
Alright.
You got jacket time for that?
That's done. I can't hear a thing.
You're still alive.
Oh. Oh. 100 miles an hour. I'm gonna do it again.
You're losing audience, Chris.
Turn the camera around.
Why don't you do pull up?
No, I'm good. Gotta catch these two. Oh. Do it again? Okay. Can you do down to the hut?
Now CC? Up. Collision. Oh my God. Oh!
Thank God you do it.
Alright, let's do it. All the way to go. Oh!
Oh, he's out of breath. Where'd
You
Coral
alright?
go?
You gonna do it?
Yeah.
She wants to get diapers.
Cece's out of breath.
I'm out of breath too, kind of.
No, I'm not.
Whoa! Oh!
Alright, no more running.
High five?
Come say hi, Nana, Papa. Mimi, Papa.
Oh!
Cece?
Yucky? Good job.
Want to chase me?
You want Daddy to do push-ups again?
Want to chase me?
Chase or push ups?
Chase me.
Okay.
Okay. Say goodbye to Nana.
Say goodbye.
Say goodbye to everybody.
Bye.
You're so sweet. Cece, blow kisses. You're adorable.
And lastly, they need to get help to make their life more enjoyable. And if he would have done that, if Chris would have sought help, he could have understood himself better, not have to kill his family and be living in a jail cell for the rest of his life.
Let's stand up for me. I'm going to have you face that wall. Good. Just face it. Lift up your hands. Okay, go and face this wall. Okay, go and face me. Okay, you don't have anything on you, right?
No.
Okay, nothing in your pockets? Okay, go and face that other wall behind you. I'm just going to search you real quick. Spread your legs. Further. Okay, turn around, face me. No earrings, necklaces.
Chris, come stand up for me. I'm going to have you face that wall over there. Just face it. Lift up your hands. Okay, come face this wall. Okay, go and face me. Okay, you don't have anything on you, right? Okay, nothing in your pockets? Okay, go and face that other wall behind you. I'm just going to search you real quick. Spread your legs. Further. Okay, turn around, face me. No earrings, necklaces, anything like that? Okay. Let's walk up this way. Go straight. Go out that door to your left. You know that big blue door right there? So you guys know. Sure. Appreciate the heads up. So I would say, I'll tell you this right there. Yeah. We've been watching this. Is that all I need? Or is there another one idea? Should I change it? No, that's it. Oh, it's been a while. Didn't used to look like that. Have you been gone for a while? That's been neat. Been close, because it was real shortly after I started it. So that was, that was the time I was. Why sandwich? Thank you. One pair of shorts, just one pair of shorts. Description? Interesting. Yeah. Okay, you have a mark that she's got just a little bit for me. Yeah, good question.
Thanks, sir.
Not quite work head.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's almost on something. I'll introduce you to a Facebook page.
Frederick, PD all the way out, please. Have a good night, guys.
Good morning, Your Honor. Mr. Watts has asked us to share this morning that he is devastated by all of this. And although he understands that words are hollow at this point, he is sincerely sorry for all of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Watts, as I indicated when we began, you have the right to make a statement if you choose to. Would you like to make a statement?
No, sir.
Thank you. So the court has considered the arguments made by the attorneys. The court has considered the statements made by the victims in this case. The court's going to find that the plea agreement is fair and reasonable under the circumstances. I want to acknowledge the Rusick family as well as the Watts family that showing mercy on Mr. Watts is understood, and I respect that decision to request that the district attorney not seek the death penalty in this case. And so the court is going to accept this plea bargain under the circumstances. Words that come to mind when I hear the evidence in this case are a senseless crime and the viciousness of the crime. And equally aggravating in this court's determination is the despicable act of disposing of the bodies in the manner in which they were done in this case. I've been a judicial officer now for starting my 17th year, and I could objectively say that this is perhaps the most inhumane and vicious crime that I have handled out of the thousands of cases that I have seen. And nothing less than a maximum sentence would be appropriate, and anything less than the maximum sentence would depreciate the seriousness of this offense. So the court is going to sentence Mr. Watts as follows. With regard to count number 1, murder in the first degree as it relates to Shanann Watts, the court is going to sentence you, sir, to a life sentence in the Colorado Department of Corrections, followed, with no possibility of parole. And that is going to run consecutively to all but counts 3 and 4. With regard to count 2, as it relates to murder in the first degree with Bella, the court is going to sentence you to life in the Colorado Department of Corrections with no possibility of parole. With regard to count number 3, the court is going to sentence you as it relates to Celeste to life in the Colorado Department of Corrections with no possibility of parole. With regard to counts 4 and 5 relating to Bella and Celeste as a different theory of first-degree murder, the court is going to sentence you to life in the Colorado Department of Corrections, and legally those sentences must run concurrently as a different theory of first-degree murder. Recognizing the unlawful termination of pregnancy for the unborn child that has been named Nico, the court absolutely believes that the maximum sentence of 48 years would be appropriate to run consecutive to the other charges, with an additional mandatory parole period of 3 years as set forth by statute. With regard to count number 7, as it relates to tampering with a deceased body, as well as counts 8 and 9, each a class 3 felony, the court is going to impose a maximum sentence of 12 years each for those counts to run consecutively to the other counts. The court is going to order that the statutory fees be paid and court costs. The court's going to grant the prosecution 91 days to file a notice of restitution, and that will be the sentence of the court. We will shortly be in recess. I would respectfully ask the parties that you remain in your seat. There is a plan by the deputies on allowing people to exit the courtroom, so please remain seated until you are authorized to leave the courtroom based on the direction of the deputies. Deputies, I would respectfully ask that you take this defendant into custody and have him serve the rest of his life in the Department of Corrections. We are in recess.